Hi everyone, welcome to another platform update here on the Hedron YouTube channel. I'm Josh, the head of brand at Hedron, and I'm joined by Varun. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey all, I'm Varun, founder of Hedron. Been around a while.
It's true, it's almost like you made the platform or something.
Maybe.
It's so okay, all right, before we get derailed, it's very easy for us to do. I feel like we've been on a lot of conversations, a lot of calls recently, Varun, and every single time we find a rabbit trail and we just head down it head first. So we're not going to do that today. Let's talk about the platform. Last month we covered like a year's worth of updates, but I think it's worth actually digging into what are some of these things substantially. Are there some specific features, like perhaps ad hoc systems that I think you referenced last month, that we can talk about? What does this actually mean? Because it's really cool, and I think it deserves a chance to shine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And let's talk about where they came from. So, like, ad hoc systems are sort of a natural consequence of everyone's sort of universal problem of building a rule system is not easy. It's sort of like an intensive process, right? You're a game designer, I'm a game designer. It's a lot of iteration. It's a lot of like getting through all the hoops of like building a system that actually maths out and works out and involves some actual fun at the end of the day. And Hedron is good at the automation part once you've set it up. But there was a big hurdle, like almost like a mountain to climb, a separate mountain from the game design mountain to actually get your system all worked out. Even my own staff, like our staff that are building up systems, they have this hurdle of just building up the systems. It takes some time. So we built something called ad hoc systems. And these are sort of like the quick and dirty way to get your rule system up online and get playing without thinking about all of the nitty gritty details that go into every single bit of game design. It's sort of like listing out number of stats or what the stats are, and then just getting out to play the game without worrying about automation, without dealing with all of the complexities of like setting up automated tooling, and just focusing on playing the game. And this was really a community driven feature, which is why I'm always super excited to talk about it, because I think we've always kind of say here at Hedron, like it's our mission to enable people, right? And so this is kind of what we're doing in that vein of things.
Yeah, so let's actually get into like a specific example, right? Let's say you and I are, we'll use Call to Power. I like Call to Power. Let's say we're playing a session of Call to Power. How would we use ad hoc systems in a session? Give me a tangible example.
Yeah, so if you're starting a game, it is a system like Call of Power, which is not available on Hedron, but you want to just play it, you can basically say, I'm creating an ad hoc system. And as you're playing your session, you can define stats and be like, oh, I have a strength stat, and it starts at 12 or whatever it is. And then as the session's going on, you can kind of freely change your stats. It's almost like a more organized note sheet. But the real nice thing about it, and why you wouldn't just use something like Obsidian or like a Google Doc or something, is as you build out your system, you're actually doing the process of setting up the automated tooling for like Hedron. So in the future, maybe later when you feel a little bit more confident and you're like, you know what, actually it would be nice to automate my athletics check, then you can set that up. And it's sort of like a scaffolding, like the work you already did while playing your game becomes a scaffolding for you to expand on that and build a more complex, more comprehensive automation later.
Awesome. And so in that same vein, I want to talk about another like feature that we've rolled out, which is card systems, which in the same way that ad hoc systems sort of support building things and testing things and experimenting with things, card systems supports a different kind of play. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like?
Yeah, so we've been seeing in the RPG industry in the last couple of years, especially, a lot of cards being brought to the table, right? So you've got games like we talked about last month, like Never Going Home, where they would use card systems as a fundamental part of the game system. And surprisingly, almost no VTT supports this. In fact, I actually can't name one off the top of my head that supports it until us. So now we support card systems, and the sort of driving motivation is if you wanted to play Magic the Gathering as part of your D&D session, that should be something you can do.
That's a really cool idea. I'm now trying to think through how I would incorporate a card game like, a Magic or something like that as a game mechanic into like a longer ongoing campaign. I imagine it'd kind of be like, oh, what's the name of the card game from The Witcher? Gwent.
Gwent. Yeah. Yeah. Or I actually almost imagine, I don't know if this is a thing, but I imagine there might be like a Yu-Gi-Oh game out there somewhere where there's an RPG of you being like a duelist, but then there's also the game itself. So being able to play Yu-Gi-Oh in your Yu-Gi-Oh RPG is now something you could do. Just, hypothetical. I don't even know if that exists, but
Someone should make it. Someone should make it. I would play it.
definitely. Yeah, likewise.
Very cool. So cards is kind of a broad thing. I assume that it supports a 52 card, standard deck. Does it support custom cards? Like if I wanted to make, tarot cards or some sort of custom, completely original set of cards for a specific purpose in a game, all can be supported?
Absolutely. Yeah. We support all of those kinds of different cards. We also support what are called zones. So being able to define, like, there are some zones like your deck, which are private, no one can see them. And there are some zones like the battlefield where everyone can see them, right? Taking an example from Magic there. But the point being that whatever sort of mechanics your card games are doing, it's really something we should be able to support. And we tested this with a lot of the RPG systems that work with us already. So it's been really stress testing our systems, seeing the extent of how cards are used, because there's a lot of flexibility what you can do with a card, right? Something like capturing the idea of like take a card from your hand and give it to the player to your left, right? Like that's something very not easy to do, but it's something we've been setting out to do. And so it's still a learning process as we're still finding new boundaries of how people are using cards in new and exciting ways. But it also means that we're expanding the boundaries of what Hedron can do, which is already a lot.
Yeah. Hey, so action item, if you are watching this video and you have a card-based RPG that does something unique or interesting that you haven't seen support for on Hedron, tell us. Comment, say, hey, I really like this game. Here's what the mechanic does, so that we can go and add it, because that's a cool idea. We should add more mechanics. Moving on a little bit from features on Hedron, let's talk about. I think this might actually be the first time we're about to say this name publicly.
Might be.
I feel like maybe you should do the honors.
So announcing our new sort of sub-department, sub-company, Amorais, the name coming from amor, to love, and the morai, the Greek fates. In other words, it's the love of telling stories and weaving fate together.
Yeah. So we are launching Amorais as a company that does a couple of different things, but specifically that I want to talk about today is we're running games, doing gaming events. And the first opportunity that you'll have to participate in a gaming event with Amorais is our October gaming weekend at the end of this month. In just a couple of weeks, we are getting all of the details put together. We're going to run some games online. It's going to be some really cool sessions of Call to Power, of Eldritch Automata, and maybe one or two other fun games. We're still finalizing our list and getting all of our schedules set. You'll be able to learn more on the Hedron social media channels, and I imagine you should also keep an eye out on our newsletter, because that will be a good place to get word once we are actually signing up for those sessions that weekend.
And we'll throw a link in the description of this video too.
You're right. You're right. We'll put a link in the description. That makes good sense. That's what people do on YouTube, right? There's another opportunity, though, to play games with Amorais, and that is at PAX Unplugged. Last month, we talked about Hedron going to PAX Unplugged, and we teased some things because we were still figuring out what exactly this is going to look like. But we will have a game room, a dedicated game room space at PAX Unplugged, where you can come run some of your favorite games, play some of your favorite games, rather. We'll be running them. You'll be playing them. Like, again, Call to Power, like Eldritch Automata. You'll be able to check out my superhero game, Paragons. You'll be able to play some fun horror D&D sessions, and check out some other really neat games that do some fun storytelling, push some genres. We've got a whole bunch of professional GMs who this is what they do. They're very good at it. And we're excited to sort of step into this next chapter of the company as we support more ways to play, not just online, but also in person. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Well, yeah, of course, the most important part. All of our GMs, all of our storytellers are professionals. They've been doing this stuff for decades. They are all exceptional. I've played games with them as players as well as their boss, I suppose. But at the same time, they do exceptional work. I would not bring anyone to play one of our games if they weren't exceptional at their craft. They are, after all, united by the love of storytelling. So I would say there are going to be some amazing games, both at PAX U, but also at the gaming weekend. So definitely try to get signed up for one of them because I expect they're going to sell out real quick.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. We've got some fun stuff that we're doing in the room in terms of set dressing in order to make it feel like this really dynamic gaming experience. You're not going to want to miss it. So if you're going to be at PAX Unplugged, come check us out. Talking about games. Last month, we talked about games that were coming to the platform. And I want to give an update about Yeld, because we talked about Yeld. Specifically, I talked about Yeld, because it's a really cool concept for a game. I think of it almost as like a coming-of-age story, in a way. We're very close to having Yeld ready to go out on Hedron. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been hard at work. Turns out the system is super massive, very customizable, but we're now getting to those final stages, doing those final bits of QA, talking with the publisher, making sure every single nook and cranny looks great, as much as the actual core book does. And we'll be launching it very soon. This month, you can expect an announcement with Yeld, as well as, of course, a way to get both the PDF and the Hedron all in one go.
Yeah, phenomenal. And the next game that we're talking about here this time, I like how we're both talking about a single game instead of you do one and I do one this month. I feel like the back and forth makes it feel a little bit nicer. The next game that we're talking about is Eldritch Automata, which we've already mentioned briefly. It's a really cool game. The lead designer on it is a guy named Nick, who we're both friends with. We both like him. But it's this cool sort of mashup of horror, like setting, eldritch horror, and this mech combat that I think is really, really neat. It's based off of the Year Zero engine by Free League, which is just an incredible game system. One of my very favorites in terms of how it combines narrative flow of a story with mechanics. And EA, I know, is one that we've been working on for a little while that is getting pretty close to release as well. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. EA is also kind of wrapping up. We've finished up everything basically. We're just doing some final checks to make sure everything all works and everyone's all set up with payment and all that stuff. But, the paperwork, the busy paperwork, the important busy paperwork.
It's true.
But once that's all set, you'll expect that being put out about the same time, probably as our gaming weekend is coming up. So keep an eye out for that. Definitely keep an eye on our social channels to make sure you get connected when we actually make announcements for both of these games, especially because EA is, as of right now, not on any other platforms.
Yeah, you can play it for the first time on Hedron. Be one of the first ones to check it out. I think, Varun, that's all for this month's update. We'll be back next month with more, but just quick rundown. You can join us and play some games this month for the October gaming weekend. You can find us next month at PAX Unplugged. Come and hang out. I seem to recall last month talking about how it's just a couple days after my birthday. I will absolutely be at whatever bar people are hanging out at, and would love to hang out and grab a drink with fans of Hedron. And then last but not least, hang out with us online. We've got a lot of cool things that are going on, and it's impossible to summarize everything that we're doing in a short video like this. But we'd certainly love to see you. Come hang out in our Discord. Come hang out on social media. Hang out with us here on YouTube. It's a great place to be because there's a lot of exciting things, and I think you're just going to hear more and more from Hedron in the coming months.
Absolutely. And I think there's some really exciting stuff to be looking for.
Yeah, it's true. If you guys knew what we were talking about in our meetings, you'd be minds would be blown. That's for sure. All right. Without any further ado, we're going to call it here. Like the video, subscribe, comment, share, all the usual YouTube things. I'm not an influencer, and we'll see you next time.